Good evening, everybody. We're going to be looking at a couple important topics in this video, and basically the main focus is to make sure that you have a good development environment in which you can do your work. I know that some of you over the course of the past week struggled to either try to get Visual Studio installed or get it working correctly, and I want to show you a couple different options and considerations. The most important thing that you guys should be aware of is that on our resources page, I have a little posting here for VDI and VPN, and this is going to be updated because there are some things inside the videos here and the instructions here that have changed, and that became apparent to me this week when the student basically put in a support ticket because it wasn't working and discovered that the server name had changed. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you what the new server name is and the techniques for connecting to this service. Now, in order to connect to VDI, you do need to have an account specifically created for it. It's not automatic. So every semester, and I did this on Friday, I think it was, I put in a request for all of my currently active students to have a VDI account. So whether you use it or not, one's been created for you. It should hypothetically be there when we try it here in class in just a few minutes. All right, and if not, then you guys can just watch me do it, but they will do it. The support ticket was closed, so I assume it's done. All right, so let's talk about what VDI is. VDI, as it says there, it's a virtual desktop interface, basically. So what that means is that you are running a snapshot. You are getting a window into a computer that's running somewhere else. So all you're using your computer for is to remote control a different computer that's running on a server down in Kenosha somewhere. And a VDI is basically, in reality, a virtual machine. If you guys are familiar with what that is, hopefully you learned a little bit about that in your studies. If not, you can Google it. And basically somebody creates an image of Windows, right? Loaded up, installed, all the software's there, and it basically saves as one file. And then we have a server somewhere that's able to take that file and run it as a standalone interface that you can log into remotely using any computer that has the correct software. So really, you don't need a very fancy computer to do it, just one that can run their software, because you're not really doing a lot. All you're really going to be doing is moving the mouse around, typing on the keyboard, and seeing the image that comes back. And because we have such good bandwidth these days, especially here on campus, you can't really tell when you're running full screen that you're even remote controlling something. And those of you that, work with, that type of an interface where you're remote controlling a machine like the remote desktop, or you work with virtual machines regularly, you'll know that it's not really a big deal. But when you're new to it, it's a little out there conceptually. So the reason I need to show this to you is because it creates a safety net for you, or even a primary work platform. So you will never be without the tools you need. All you really need is a computer and an internet connection. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to a couple locations out on the web. First, I'm going to take you to the Gateway homepage, because you will need to install a piece of software prior to installing the piece of software we need in order to be able to access it. Gateways networks, when you're physically present on the network, meaning I'm attached via Wi-Fi in one of our buildings, or I'm sitting at one of the desktops like you guys are here in the classroom, you are on the network so you can access the service directly. But when you are at home, that's considered a security risk. So in order to be able to connect to the network remotely through the internet, you have to install a piece of software called VPN. Now, Windows natively does support VPN. It's built directly in. However, Gateway requires a specific VPN client to run to connect to their network. They do that for security as well. So you can't just use Windows and try to guess and get in. No, not at all. So if you come here to the Gateway website and just search VPN, you guys don't have to do this, you can just watch. But if you were doing it at home, they have a little document here that you can open and download, and it tells you how to get the VPN client software. So they tell you to go to this web page, it'll bring up a thing, you log in, and then it'll try to run a piece of software. The ActiveX approach will probably not work for you because it's an old thing. So what you'll end up doing is you'll probably end up having to download it directly. But basically, you follow these instructions, you download the client. If you don't even want to mess with this, you can just go to the Cisco website and type in the name of the product, wherever that happens to be. But I can tell you the name of the product. It is Cisco AnyConnect Secure Mobility Client. You have to have that particular piece of software. It's a free download. Once you have that loaded onto your machine, then you can initiate a connection to Gateway. You connect to the network with the same credentials that you use to connect to like email and all that kind of stuff. And then you can run the Horizonware client that allows you to view the VDI and interact with the VDI. So I'm going to try to demonstrate all of that. Now I'm here on network right now, so I won't be able to actually do a VPN connection because I don't need to, and it will probably deny me. I mean, I can try, right? So once you have that software downloaded and installed, you launch it, and you can see I have it running. And typically the way this program likes to run is it'll sit down here in your system tray as a little icon so you can invoke it whenever you need. There'll be a URL you'll need to connect to. That'll be provided in the download instructions. And then you just click connect, and it'll bring up a little interface like this. You log in with your credentials. You guys would use your ID number and password. And then it'll say VPN connected, and then you can do all the stuff that requires direct network access. We've been kind of tending to unlock some of our web servers so that you don't need to VPN to FTP. But in the old days, with our old Mercury server, we would require a VPN connection just even to do a FTP. And we thought that was kind of a little bit of a barrier. This is one that we must use VPN for a lot of different reasons. But let's just hypothetically say you've downloaded the software, following those instructions, you've installed it, and you've established that VPN connection. Okay? All right. So once you have that going, then what you really want to do is you want to come back to our resources page here and then look at the instructions for VMware Horizon Client. Now, you need to go out and you download this piece of software as well. It's another freebie. But the problem is when we actually do the connection. So I'm going to type the name of the product here, VMware Horizon Client. So if you want to Google that, that's not a bad place to start. So you can type VMware, if I could type it correctly, Horizon Clients. And you should be, pulling up the download link. That's probably the first thing that will come up. And then all you need to do here is you need to find the version that will be correct for your operating system and platform. Most of you are going to be running Windows, so you just choose the top one. And you download it. All right, so this is a process that you'll do on your own as well. It's a pretty simple process. You'll download the file. I mean, I guess I could initiate that part of the process. I already have it installed. You just follow the installer and let it do its thing. All right, so I'm actually going to cancel this, but the process is pretty simple. It's pretty much a standard software install. Once you have that installed, and then all of those of you that are here on the school machines, this product should be loaded up on all machines. Those of you that are using your own laptops and you have not yet installed it, you should probably do that right now. It's good to try it in the classroom to try to work out the bugs, and then during the break I'll help you fix whatever issues you have. All right, so I'm going to launch the client. So I've got my VPN connection going. Please keep that in mind. Now I am launching the VMware Horizon client, and it will bring up an interface that looks like this. Now, when you land on this window initially, it's going to prompt you for a server. You will not have this server visible because you haven't done it before. So you'll go through the process of adding a server, and then the name of the server that you want, and this is the part that's changed, is what you see in the background here, which is Cirrus, cirrus.gtc.edu. So CIRRUS. And sometimes I will just do this because that is for connecting to the VDI client. Okay. The old instructions, the ones that were in the pre-existing video, it was a different server name. It was called View Student. All right. That one is no longer operational. They've upgraded the server. They changed the name. This is the new VDI server. So now if you put this address into that interface and you save the connection, you'll get a little icon that will appear within the interface like this. All you have to do is give it a double click, and then it's going to prompt you for credentials, or it should. Okay, just like that. That was actually a little bit slow, believe it or not. And then just put in your regular username and password. Email. It should be the one that you use for everything. Yeah. Username, password, usually ID number. And then you click Login, and then you should be presented with the VDIs that you have accounts for. If you do not have an account, you will not have an icon. Do you guys have icons? I'm hoping yes. One of the questions here in the classroom was there's an option for IP version 4 or 6. My recommendation was go with 4, because that you can assure is going to be running on any network. All right. Now, once you're in here, you can go ahead and just give the IT web icon a double click, and you're going to see what happens here. It's going to initiate a connection to the server. It is taking a little while. I know that they had an outage earlier today on VDI, so here it comes up. And you can see what's happening is it's launching Windows 7. I have mine set to run full screen. And in fact, I can even go through the process of like taking this little toolbar that hovers over the top, and I can hide it. You can't even tell you're sitting at a different computer. So it's booting into a Windows 7 environment that is pre-configured with all the software that we require in the IT web program. Everything to do all the coursework all the way through is already loaded, configured, and works. So once you're into the environment here, well, you can see we have Visual Studio 2013 loaded, but 2012, I believe, is loaded as well. Or maybe not. I guess I should let me type the search parameters all the way through to see if it pulls it up. Apparently not, but 2013 will work just fine. And you can launch the product and work from there. And those of you that are like in my Java class, you'll see all the Java stuff is here. If you end up, going through a lot of the courses, all the way through to the end, people like in the Ruby on Rails classes, we got Ruby down in here in the root. It's really kind of a slick way to work. The only catch is, okay, when you log out or disconnect, the session stays alive, I think, for 2 hours. So you don't save your work inside the environment. It will not persist. It will go away. There is a method for connecting flash drives if you want to try that. My knowledge that I've heard from students secondhand is it's a little funky trying to negotiate between the local operating system and the remote one. So be careful how you do the connection. My recommendation is, if you're working in this environment, is that you save the work in the environment and then drop it into your Google Drive, Dropbox, or whatever, or zip it and email it. That would be my recommendation. It's just the easier way to work. And then if you need to pull files into the environment to work on them, you can log into your gateway email through this environment, connect to your Google Drive, pull the files down, zip them, unzip them, whatever you have to do, work on them, save them, and then put them back up in your drive. Now this does give you this capability, though, which is really cool, that as long as you have a computer that can run this piece of software, it doesn't take much. It really doesn't. That's by design. You can get to this interface and do any of the work that you need. All you need is a computer that can run the software. It can be PC, Mac, or Linux box. In fact, I think they even have clients for phones, and a good internet connection. On a good network connection, when this is running, you obscure that toolbar, can't even tell. And you would be surprised in how many office places around the world people work exactly that way. They don't even know they're doing it. That's just how their computer runs. But in an environment where something like this does maintain its state, in other words, like you log out and everything stays, it's really pretty powerful, because that allows administrators real ease of control, because they can update everybody's environments very easily. They can back them up real easily. The computer can blow up, but you don't lose any files, even if they're stored only in your environment. So you can see, like, there's many benefits to it. All right, but now that you know about this, you might even choose to use it as a primary way to develop. That's on you. I mean, I still think that working on your own machine is better, but this is a great safety net. All right, and you can see I'm just disconnecting. And then if you are, at home, you can disconnect from the VPN when you're done with your session. And really, in essence, if you guys aren't aware of this, a VPN connection, what that stands for is Virtual Private Network. It just creates a privatized tunnel of internet traffic that is not decipherable by the public. Basically, it's private, like a private highway through the internet is a way to think of it, or maybe like a limousine with dark windows. You can't see what's inside. Maybe that's a better analogy. But that basically allows you to act as if you're on Gateway's network and access any of the secure resources that you otherwise are not able to. And some resources here on campus do require it. For example, if I wanted to print, I can't just print over the internet to Gateway. Connect to the VPN, and I can. All right, folks, that ends this video, and next thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into doing some coursework.